Hello, everyone. Today, the topic of the discussion would be human resource budget. How do we budget for the employee training, development, separation, hiring, recruitment, performance appraisal? Everything needs to be entailed upon it. So, today, exactly the human resource budget will differ and vary from organization to organization. I would love to give you a brief overview and probably elaborate upon the exact trend that is now right now prevailing in multinational so allow me to give a brief introduction. So managing human resources under organizational change, it's the key thing to the budgeting process. Now for everything, there are pressures that can manipulate, motivate, or change the direction or the course of the action of the organization. What are the typical changes that happens in any offices? So basically, externally, if the autonomy of the country has been threatened, if the country is at war, if there is destabilization process, whether it be through external forces or internal forces, I am talking in a country specific condition. The other would be the economic conditions, as in depression, inflation, and so on and so forth. Things are going around it. And last but not the least are the national laws. Remember, these three things are external to the organization, and the organization has to play within the boundaries of these concept. And organization gets impacted but cannot impact the external things. So you as an organization has to function within the ambit of external thing. So what does the organization control? Those are internal things. How does it do it? Because of the changing conditions in the environment, organization can adopt new methodologies, new standards, acts on the structures of our organization. It might change the requirement depending upon the laws of the land. We can have various vocational training plans. We can have differential cost calculation system, again based on the national plan, based on the exigencies, based on the subsidy that has been extended by the government, based on the protection, trade protection. Probably I am just speculating. So under this, the organization changes would be impacted in the budget. It has to be incorporated so that there are particular statistical changes which we can feel it. Now, I am giving you an example. If you look out in this thing, I am just giving an example out here, and probably I'll give a detailed example in the subsequent part of my presentation. Is an example for an academic institution. If you look into it, the salary structures of this blue line, it extends, it goes up. So, and then there is a salary structure which over a period of time, look at it, I have given manage the period of time on the x-axis and the salary scale on the y-axis. So for the blue line, it increases, and for the green line, it is remaining more or less same, almost more or less same, and it increases in the later part. But on the other hand, the other line deteriorates over a period of time. Now, how do we distinguish what kind of salary has been offered to these people, these people which has been mentioned out here as a faculty? Their salary increases because they are the crux of an academic institution. Now, mind you, this is an education that we are talking about, the personal situation, the employment employment laws, the employment expenditures that has been incurred. So faculty has been paid on a higher thing, and probably the higher secondary or the higher education thing, probably it doesn't matter at all until and unless after a point of time they are doing ready-made things, mechanistic thing, and bringing not much of a contribution. And the upper secondary level, probably these are the people who might be looking at some kind of admin related issues. So this is how giving a brief overview what exactly would be given for an HR budget for a academic institution or an academic so are there effective tools or methods? Definitely yes. That can mitigate the negative impact. I would recommend yes, and yes, we should always be proactive to changes. We should not let changes manipulate our course of direction. Number one, we need to understand what does employees position is all about. It they are not flexible, they are not adaptable, they are almost bureaucratic in nature. So these are the three things that needs to be taken care. Employees are not flexible, the position, mind you, employee position not adaptable, and definitely it has some academic interest or a bureaucratic behavior that goes around it. So how do we go around motivating the employees? The best method would be enriching the job, the or job rotation, as you want to go around it. Now newcomers can be part of a different kind of organization, different kind of system, different kind of functional description of work. Every position needs to be given some degree of autonomy, some degree of flexibility, some degree of decision making, and leading the direction for a particular changes. And definitely ethical code of behavior is a must, and it should mirror the values of the organization. So we need to motivate the employees according. So, how do we support changes? HR management, how do you support changes? Mind you, every change will implicate your budgeting process. So, we can have something called self assessment, plan for HRD, and we can have a separate department altogether for changing and budgeting altogether. Please remember, we need to have training plans, we need to have survey for measuring satisfaction of the employee, must because once the satisfaction of employee has been measured around it, and you can tweak your salary scale budgeting so as to align them towards the cultural or organizational goals. That is very important. So develop cost calculation system, the crux of the budget, in-house training, and intranet. We will be talking about intranet in details in the upcoming slides. So what consequences, actually what consequences does it mean for an individual employees and the organization if there are any mismatches? So if there are mismatch between the individual employees goals and the organizational goals, what happened? So that means for the organization it is an additional burden. If the employees are dissatisfied, they will not be as productive as they would have been otherwise. So what, how do we go around for it? We have to train them. So additional cost of training has to be incurred. Consequences for the individual employees. If the employee is not satisfied or not been able to give as per the desired result, the production is just below par, we need to train them. We need to train them or change the post altogether. Why change the post? Because probably he or she does not have the requisite equipment required for the post. These needs to be understood by the employees and the organization alike. We have to maintain a now. I was talking about giving you an example, a real life example as to how HR budgeting has been done on a real world basis. Remember, again, I like to reiterate the fact that every organization, the budget will be different. Every organization, the stress on certain aspect of human resources are way different from the another organization. Some of the organization might value training and development as a key drivers to developing human resources. Some organization would be seeing performance appraisal or performance management would be the key drivers to take the organization to higher echelon. Now, this is what I need to tell it to you people, that you need to understand for which organization you are making the budget. I am trying to give you something very basic skills which has been happening with the software industry or the HR software or ERP or SAP as we used to call around it. So we have a lot of ERPs coming around. There are many freebies, free ERPs available. There are many paid ERPs available. There are many software that meets a lot of requirement of the HR thing. I am citing the best quality that needs to be taken into consideration when you adopt a software for human resource budgeting and management. Remember, so, as per as human capacity development across the lifespan, this particular transition needs to be understood. What does this say? The kind of skills needed to meet the challenge of earning a living in the 21st century. It is all about flexibility. It is all about adaptability. It is all about teamwork, collaborativeness. It is all about thinking out of the box, problem solving prowess. Be a one to a confidence with a constellation of skills and outlook needed to engage in every other key participation opportunity related to human capacity development, related to human beings, related to the employee of the organization. So what are we talking around it? We need to have a lot many skills, and with the skills we cannot be rigid around it. We have to adapt, keep on continuously adapted. We have to be a continuous team member. We cannot go all by self, all alone. The days of individuality has gone, and we need to think out of box. This is what the critical transition for human capacity development across the lifespan, written by Beryl Levenger. So, human resource management is now required to provide more strategic and definite contributions to achieve the corporate goal. This means that it must, on one hand, ensure the availability of resources and necessary skills, on the other, ensure correct, control, personal management while balancing corporate cost and the ability to generate value. This is very of vital importance. HR budget and cost management. Remember, this is the crux of the presentation, and we will be talking about HR management and cost management via software as we are looking into it. I am trying to lay the few ground rules for a good software which can be enacted in your organization. HR management needs to manage what? Manage personal cost. Monitor what? Monitor components of the cost that is going around it. What are the components? We have the salary element. This is one of the major things. Then we have the variable wages. We will talk about variable wages. We will talk about the incentive or the bonuses, and probably various management even that it influences. Let's say the forecasting. Did I say the external environment in relation to the economic outlook? If the economic outlook is very bad, green, poor, or bright, I suppose the cost of the labor cost forecast will also change. We'll talk about new hires or new employees. We'll talk about the termination or separation process for the existing employees, the salary policies, the internal mobility. What is mobility? Would be just transfer from one department to another department, or from one location to another location, and definitely deal with absenteeism. So, what does the software needs to be there? What are the essential qualities that the software has to have for HR budgeting and cost management? Remember, in case you do not have a software or you do not intend to go for a software requisition, you can always incorporate this in your manual system also. You should be flexible. Remember, a budget needs to be flexible. It cannot be rigid. It should let you customize the process cycle, the management template, and based on company's requirement, what are the various specifications that you need to follow out. Next comes a natural native way. What is native way? It is all about how centralized or decentralized the organization is. It is all about how transparent the organization is. It is all about the hierarchy that the organization is following. It is about the evolvement process, the culture process, the value process the organization cultivates. Next is the analysis logic oriented. Since it provides default report to represent information, specific managerial reports thanks to the native integration of Zakuti business intelligence solution is done out there. So this is what you need to round up. We have to follow the analysis logic orientations. It requires to be certain logical, and it should give you certain reminders as often as possible. That is a so personal budget and cost software is basically an advanced, fully functional tool that organizes and processes cost data, that is able to predict the trends, that is able to give you a step ahead of the evolution of what exactly is going to happen. It is going to give an exact comparison between what is happening, what was detailed, and what is projected. So it's promptly intervene and implement the necessary corrective measures. We come to the open database system. Now, be it manual or be it automated, we can have an integrated and definitely an open database system wherein the personal and the organization data in the company concerning everything. Remember the wages, the HRAs, the transport allowances, the mobile allowances for personal and payroll procedures should be married and available to each and everybody. If this is done there, probably you will come to know. Now, what happens in a manual system, we have something called limiting. After a certain point of time, we don't allow someone to access certain things. Similar accessibility, for example, this is an employee salary, right? So the only all the employees will be able to know around it. The supervisor will come to know about our limitation of the what are the increment that a person should be recommending or what cannot be. Now, this is somewhere down the corner. The HR fellow and the functional head will look into the departmental budget, and the top management will decide what kind of salary or what kind of culture that goes around it. So, everybody will have, so this gentleman, the fellow in the top, will have access to every information. The management department, the HR fellows or the functional fellows will have department information to all these information, whereas the supervisor have will have only the information of the employees and their well-being, whereas the employees will have their only requirements, they will have their only information about them. So there is a selection and filtering of information that can be partaken around it. It is integrated, it is open, so everybody knows who is going to go around it. So the top fellow knows everything what is happening in an organization as budget is concerned. Now, we talk about integrated management template. Why do we have to have this thing? Because it increases data information content. It enriches the data. The personal cost can be analyzed as in which all department is implying a very cost effective methodology and which all department is basically profusing a lot of expenses. So we need to understand why these changes are being happening. Let the management identify and uh, promote up certain policies or guidelines. Now, we need to have maximum flexibility. What is maximum flexibility? The data format, the calculation logic, the recalculation rules can be set as on when on required. If the things in the external environment changes, let's say with the advent of so much of a pandemic that has come across it, many organizations would be struggling to find a feet on its ground, probably meet their expenses. So we can have a delayed salary, or we can have a definitive cut in the salary, or we can have a definitely cut in the employment of the employees. Now, what are we going to go around it? The management philosophy will tell me. It will reclassify if there is a cut. Can it be a 50% cut for an employee who is earning around 100 rupees? Probably no, because that means he is going below the sustenance level. But 50% cost on the salary of the top management who is earning not in six figure, probably in seven figures. Probably yes, for he can still afford a kind of subsistence which can just about manage his or her lifestyle for the time being. So we need to understand or reclassify the rules and go accordingly. So unlimited alternative processing version needs to be there. Mostly, very truly, this is one of the major requirement for any understanding, be it international financial reporting system IFRS. If we are following those system, or if it is a software or anything, it should be easily tabulated, and person with a little bit of a knowledge of accounts should be able to decipher it. I am stressing on being user friendly. The solution should be easy thanks to the simple, intuitive user interface. Process wizard, automatic data consistency. Now, these summaries should be given as on when on required. As the query has been generated, the response should be given. So, it is an autonomous application maintained. So we have five steps to it. We will talk about the five steps. Now, this allows the database to be shared and data to be aligned with all the suite applications. Additionally, the application should be open. It should tell you what exactly is done and what exactly is required on a person to person basis, on a management level basis, on an organization basis. So data import settings function. Next is of reclassification. Corporate cost and quantitative data should be automatically mapped and remapped across the board according to the default cost scheme. Remember the hierarchy that I showed to you regarding a triangular pattern, wherein what kind of information is being flowed to which all department. The top management should know everything. He or she should be having the full view of the organization workflow, cost flow, and so on and so forth. The reclassification process is based on linking source of the cost element. Excuse me. For example, the salary, the promotion, the overtime, the management even that generates them to a new hire according to the user settable classification. Very true. We had the third step is processing sequentially one by one, prioritizing the first, then the second, then the third. Why? Because in this fashion we can interpret and analyze the cost. We can understand why was it done and how important is it all about it. Balance to monitor the real effect of the cost in a set of past period. Remember, we can always marry between past quarters and quarter last year, the same quarter last year. So we need to monitor what is happening real time. We can definitely focus for the forthcoming quarters and the same quarter next year. So its projection additional cost can be forecasted over a year. Budget to build a future outline. It will give you exactly on which path you are treading. You need to watch your footsteps. You need to plan for the future. You can be better equipped to handle uncertainty. Now, how do we handle uncertainty is by simulation. If we can forecast it, if we can simulate the cost projection, if we can add on new cost projection that can changes the courses of the organization, probably a project that we want to hire, probably we are going to go for certain known costs that can be hiked on. For example, the cost of inflation that needs to be mitigated. So simulation is possible by managing various projection and rules and using specific templates to add forecast. Is very true. The last but not the least would be data consultation and analysis. If you cannot analyze the data, if you cannot study the data, which is the whole process become useless. So we can have the HR analytics and the business intelligence software out there which can pack up punch to you based on the need. The all dimensions can combine to the scenario levels all together. This is of very vital thing. We need to come up with reports which can be in either of the layout, be it HTML, PDF, and so on. So I'm giving you a brief. Absolutely, we have come to the fag end. Probably three more or four more slides are there. So budget cost methodology, how does it work? It is all about personal data, cost data and organization. How do you go around it? Data organization is to balance between this quarter, next quarter, same quarter, previous year, same quarter, next year. So we need to balance so that there are new hires, bonuses and so on and so forth. We can budget. See the simple workflow that I have shown it to you. It is all about workflow and then comes your HR analytics or business intelligence. This is all about business intelligence and HR analytics. So we can have the data processing of cost projection, new cost, and so on and so forth. Now we have the KPIs or key performance indicators. We know the trends, we know the comparison, we know the focuses, and this will help you the importance of HR budget. So software utility, just for your sake, it is single database directory. Number one, it can be a web-based architecture. Number two, we can have an HR portal where the human resource are not only able to print their salary, probably view the salary slip, probably they can apply for a leave, they can apply for a grievances, they can sort out certain application. Let's say they are looking for an advance salary advance and so on and so forth. So we can everything can be integrated out in a software which is there in the workflow, which is to the rest of the company, gives an expense report assessment. It becomes more transparent. And this is how a multi-country based companies are following around it. We have the payroll, we have the talent management. So in the talent management, the number of employees that we're looking into it, we are number of offline, online, the company news, the personal documentation, the workforce, the HR budget. Now, workforce is all about time attendance, leave management, job costing. Remember, these things can be there in your HR portal. HR cost management would be about budget forecasting, reclassification. If there are people who are utilizing traveling as a corporate expenses, safety and risk compliances, everything can be gone around it. Remember, it can be an IoT or internet operated technology. It's an this is what we're going around it. We have HR analytics. It can be and put it on a mobile. It can be uploaded on a cloud. It is very much accessible by every all person. This I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching.